How we doing there, boys and girls? Matthew's here and welcome back to another video. So yes, it's Monday again, and that means we're going to talk about the last week and potentially a few topics from next week in terms of making gold. Now yes, I'm aware I'm not playing Shadowlands as much as the moment. I'm pretty heavily addicted to Dyson Sphere program right now. I've put crazy amounts of hours into that in the last week or so. I'm having a blast. Check us out on the live stream right here on YouTube if you're interested in that. But today we're going to talk about this week in gold making, what's been going on, what's been happening. Now, in a slight twist to how I normally do it, for the most part I will go through the Wowhead weekly economy report. And realistically though, it's got to a point where most of you guys know that is a thing and you can go and check that out yourself if you wish. I think it's way more valuable for me, rather than just going over an article that was wrote on Wowhead, than to actually sort of pitch in with a few of my own personal things that I think can be of benefit. So let's dive straight into the first one. First one is something that came up on Reddit that was quite interesting to me, and it was the theory behind Shadestone flipping. Now, Shadestone is the alchemist's daily cooldown and is primarily used for the crafting of cauldrons. Now, those who are still raiding out there will know that if you can get your Shadestone at a reasonable price, then you can craft your cauldrons, and then you can be the most thought after friendly guy in your raid by dropping down a cauldron and giving everybody a free flask. Everybody loves the cauldron guy, and if that's you, then you want to get your hands on the Shadestone nice and cheap. But of course, for us goblins out there, we're always thinking about a way to make a quick buck, and the Shadestone flipping came into discussion this week. Just to give you an overview, if somebody was looking at their realm and they realised there was about 180 Shadestones on their auction house at an average price of, let's just call it 2,000 gold each for the sake of maths. It would cost them somewhere close to 400,000 gold to buy them all out, but then they claim to be able to relist them at 6,000 to 7,000 gold each. They were kind of saying, well, is this a good idea? Are there any sort of downsides to doing this? And it got me thinking, this is a cool little market. There's the main interesting fact of this is that the item is linked to a daily cooldown. There is virtually nothing else in Shadowlands that is linked to a cooldown in any way, shape or form. And so this is kind of a unique thing to talk about. Now, I put some thoughts together and I pitched in with an idea that might work as a slightly more advanced goblin technique. And my theory was, well, the best way to do this is to actually get somebody else to do it for you. Shadestone is an item that could quite easily become or be seen to be rare and scarce if you are willing to spend a couple of days just buying any of the cheap ones that you see, limiting the supply that there is on the auction house. Now, you may not be able to do this on every realm. If there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them, I can imagine it's going to get very costly to do that, and your return is not going to be great. But if you can buy up some of the cheap stock and make it so that the value in the Shadestone naturally starts to increase just simply because there's not that many of them about, then somebody else is going to come in and they're going to look at that and go, ooh, there's a reset here. They're going to buy up a whole bunch of them trying to reset the market, unaware that you have then been buying them and have got a nice little stockpile of them ready. So take the scenario where somebody sweeps in, they do the reset, and they try and set the price at 6 to 7k. They've probably bought quite a few expensive ones to be able to do that. You can then just relist all of those cheap ones you've picked up over the last few days, and even selling them at 3k would still yet net you a nice 1k profit per item, obviously minus auction house fees and the likes. But yeah, 5% is neither here nor there where we're talking about values of this much. Somebody who does that quick or goes for that quick gold making flip is going to get slightly annoyed that you're then dumping the price down to 3k, but hey, we can all make gold this way, and it means that you don't have to make that huge almost 400,000 gold investment simply because you sort of I don't want to use the word market manipulation because that's technically a bit of a grey area within Blizzard's terms of service. But this is just basic gold making 101. If you can have an item that has some element of natural rarity to it, and if you can then make that item look scarce, you can get somebody else to swoop in and spend a bunch of their gold, and it becomes relatively risk-free. So think about that. Check your realm for the Shadestone, see what the price is like, but also be very careful. At this point in the expansion, the Shadestone is not going to be a super in-demand item, simply because there's not going to be many people still competitively raiding. It's certainly not at a level to where they wish to bring cauldrons. Most people at this point, if they are still raiding, are probably in a position where they have to supply their own flasks, and there's not necessarily the cauldron guy. But check it out. Let me know let me know if you think this would work on your server. If you do try and give it a go, let me know in a few days how it works for you. I'd be interested to hear. Second thing I wanted to talk about today is heavy callous hide. Yes, I know we've kind of We've spoke about heavy callous hide a lot on this channel, and it's mainly because legendaries have been such a big thing. But this is still, to this very day in Shadowlands, easily the most expensive and most sought after material that there is. It is rare, theoretically. It's somewhat difficult to farm. There is, in theory, not that much of it kicking about, and there are still a lot of people who are trying to level up their leatherworking. They're either trying to unlock all of the rank 4s for leatherworking, either on leather or on mail. There's lots of reasons why people are still buying this. But something very interesting happened about a week ago that really sort of grabbed my attention, and I hate to label this as a botting problem, but it quite clearly is. And there was a very specific day when all of the bots got turned on. And you can see this if you look at heavy callous hide on the Undermine journal. Of course, I play in the EU, but there was if we scroll down to the regional daily summary, you'll see something interesting here. The quantity of it over the entirety of January almost was steadily going up. And by the 11th of January, it kind of got to the point where the price was going low, the supply was going up, people were then starting to struggle to sell it, and there was a lot of people that just, at this sort of point, they'd been playing Shadowlands for a month or so at this point, and the player base was starting to drop off. I myself, at this point, was kind of like, I've been playing this game for a couple of months, relatively solid, I'm kind of done now. And so that sort of meant that the quantity of it was sort of leveling out, whilst the price was still steadily going down, but not by a huge amount. And then look what happened on January the 28th. Now, Thursday, January the 28th. This almost for sure was the day all the bots got turned on in the EU. There's almost no other possible reason why this could be the way that it is. It was steadily declining. People were farming less and less. The value of farming was being reduced. The price was sort of stagnant, slightly declining, and then the bots get turned on, and boof! Look what happens in the space of literally a week. From the 28th of January to the Sunday the 7th of February, just over a week, the quantity of heavy callous hide doubled. It went from 224,000 to way over 500,000 in the space of a week. Now, there is absolutely no way in God's given earth that is because people are out there farming. That is the definition of a huge influx of bots being just running 24 hours a day, and subsequently look what has happened. The quantity has gone up, the bots are desperately trying to sell it, so every day they're undercutting, and in the space of a week, heavy callous hide from a regional average of 1,200 gold has dropped to nearly 800,000 gold. A third in price drop in the space of a week because of these bots. Now, what can we do about this? When I mentioned this on stream today, the first thing that people said to me is, well, is it a good time to buy heavy callous hide then? My answer is probably not. We still don't know what's going to happen in patch 9.1 or 9.0.5, depending on what's going to happen. There's a few speculations that we might get another mid-tier patch before the next major content patch. I'm sure with the BlizzCon Online that is going to happen later on this month, we will start to get some answers. But as it stands right now, my recommendation is probably not. I certainly wouldn't stockpile heavy caliside, although what I would say is this is probably not the worst time to sort of tick off those last few ranks that you may need in leatherworking. The supply, or at least, sorry, what I should say is that at least the demand for the leatherworking items is still going to be exactly the same as what it has been for the last couple of weeks, but you may now start to see that you can pick up materials at a price that means some of the ranks of items, namely going to be those rank 3s and rank 4s, might actually start to have enough profit in them again to be of interest. But be aware, there's not a huge demand for the legendaries, certainly the higher rank ones at this point, and it only takes 1 or 2 people to step into the market at this point in the expansion for it to go back to 0 profits again. So play it with caution, but it is quite apparent to me, 28th of January, a Thursday, the bots got turned on in a big way. So Blizzard, please fix. This is not good. It's not good for the game. And finally, the last thing I want to talk about today, it is, love is in the air again, and the Swift Lovebird comes into our radar as a mount that can be acquired during this 1 week, 2 week mini game within World of Warcraft. Now, I think let me check the calendar in game real quick. I believe Love is in the Air started today, and yes, it's a 2-week event, so we've got a couple of weeks to do some farming. What are we looking for? Well, we're looking for the love tokens. The love tokens you can acquire. If you go to your main capital city and speak to the lovely merchant, you can buy one of these items, a lovely charm collector's kit. With one of those in your bags, anytime you kill an enemy that either would gain you honor or experience, there's a chance of it dropping a lucky charm or a lucky bracelet, something like that. I can't remember exactly the name of it. But those items can then be turned in for lucky charms, and to this same vendor, oh, my camera's kind of in the way, maybe I'll use the TSM vendor, then you can see. You can turn in the lucky charm bracelets. What are they called? The lovely charm bracelets, they're the ones. You can generate lovely charm bracelets with 10 lucky charms, and for every love token you can put that towards an item. Now, there's actually plenty of things that can be acquired with the Love in the Air. Namely the heirloom upgrades. These are really sought after and can save you a hell of a lot of gold if you don't have them already, but they are remarkably expensive. But the one we're really interested in is the Swift Lovebird. Yes, the mount. Every time there's a mount that's available, people are going to jump on it. But what happens to these mounts during this time? Well, I've looked into that for you already. Let's take a quick look at the regional graph for the Swift Lovebird. Look at what happens every year, every time, reliably. In February, the quantity of them massively increases, whilst the price does dip slightly. In some years, the price has dipped from, it was astronomically expensive in 2018. It went all the way up to 180,000 gold each, dropped all the way down to 75, 70, 80,000 gold a piece. And the same trend happens every year. Well, where we're sat at right now, the average regional price is about 150, 160,000 gold for these Swift Lovebirds right now, whilst the quantity available is an absolute minimum. Over the next 2 weeks, watch what happens. There'll be a lot of people out there farming the lucky charms, generating those bracelets, turning them in for love tokens to be able to purchase the Swift Lovebird. If you're not into the farming aspect of this, you can quite simply just buy them when they're cheap on the auction house. It's not a bad investment. If you've made some gold over the last couple of months in Shadowlands, this might not be a bad thing to look at investing in, because it's almost a bit of a surefire win. If you've got 5 million gold just kicking about and you're looking for an investment opportunity, give it 2 weeks. Give it a little bit of time for people to farm up a bunch of these, list them on the auction house, get stressed because they can't sell them fast enough, let them undercut a whole bunch. If these things come down in price to, well, what did they come down to last year? They came down to a measly 50,000 gold by the end of the event last year. If you could pick some up for 50,000 gold in a couple of weeks' time, stick a few of them in a guild bank, hang fire, and then try and relist them 6 months later, you could easily double, maybe even triple your gold off those. There's a lot of potential in these. Over the next couple of days, I plan to actually be playing some Shadowlands, and we might try and find some good farming spots for these if you do want to actually, you know, bash your face on the keyboard and try and farm up some of these. But it's an opportunity to keep your eyes on for the next couple of weeks, and something that I will be focusing on relatively heavily. So I'm going to leave it there for today's video. I hope that was helpful for you. Like I said, we do this every Monday. We take an overview of what's been going on. Usually I stream this live on my channel, but we've not been streaming World of Warcraft recently, so I thought I'd put it together in a slightly more structured video for you. But if you enjoyed the video, guys, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new around here, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.